In everyone, come on in. I am boots on the ground. I am in North Carolina. I am in the Lumberton, North Carolina area covering the terrible tragedy of Mica Miller. We're going to talk a little bit about a few things because the 911 call has been released. We're going to play the 911 call on JLR Investigates. We're also going to give you a timeline of events that was released to the media, which I have. And also, folks, two other things I'm going to share with all of you with this particular case. One, I got an exclusive interview with Johnny, who actually heard the gunshot and heard Mica crying on that day, April 27th, 2024. He says it was close to 4 o'clock p.m. in that range. He was at the park, right? Lumber River State Park. He was there, got an exclusive interview with him. He talked. Another reporter was there too, awesome reporter locally was there, also spoke to him. So that will be coming out on JLR Investigates. And then also, after the family went and met with at the sheriff's office today, the family went to Lumber River State Park with a big bouquet of flowers, and they went to the location. I got a lot of filming there. Couldn't go to the actual location because it was off limits, but the family, the state park personnel there directed the family, and all the family went there. Or numerous family members, at least 10 of them, went to the location where Mica was found. It was like right off the river, right off the Lumber River in a slough. I can tell you right here what the exact location was based off this map. I was there today. This was the location here, and you can see the yellow there. It's like in the back of a slough. A slough is kind of like a body of a water, kind of like connects to a river, kind of like a lake that connects off a river. But it's significantly far from the parking lot. She drove in. Apparently, she had a black vehicle, according to Johnny, plus also the new videos and the photos that are out shows her in a black vehicle. Apparently, she drove to the parking lot, and worked her way to this back of the slough in the woods, deep in the woods, off a trail. I went as far as I could go, but the rest of the way is off limits, and they didn't want anyone over there. They didn't want nobody over there probably to film, more or less, the family. And we did that out of respect. We stayed as far as we could back, because they were very devastated, the families. They went to the park today. But let me share the 911 call in case some of you heard it or not heard it on JLR Investigates. We're going to hear it today.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
At National Park.
What's the phone number you're calling me from?
843-655-5242.
Didn't want to play that.
Where's the park located at?
In Bear Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my my location.
Okay, I'm showing, hold on one second.
Hard out there because no reception.
I don't think you are in Robeson County. Yeah, the Lumber River State Park? And
Yeah, that's where I am.
okay. Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
Very, very sad. And that happened here at this location here. She just wanted her family to know where she was at. Very, very sad. And they were also very emotional. And actually, they told us at the park that it got released. They were there at the park today. And they were there with flowers. And the park ranger took them to the spot where this terrible tragedy occurred. Also, folks, so I'll be posting a video on that in a little bit, so you guys can see the terrain, you guys can see the trail. It's off the trail. She left her vehicle. She left her vehicle in the parking lot and went about a mile. It's where her body was found, about a mile away, in back of a slough, like right by a slough, right there. Away from the parking lot. Yeah, very, very sad. Choked up a minute. Also, folks, we got another video coming out right here. Keep an eye out on this. Gonna Eyewitness Speaks. This is Johnny. I don't know if you guys heard about Johnny. Johnny is the one that was out there boating, and he heard her cry and then heard the gunshot. He says he heard one gunshot, and he wished he could have got over there in time, because he says to me that, you know, he would have helped her if he could have reached her in time. Fortunately, it was thick brush, and he just could hear it in the distance. He couldn't get there in time. Plus, his boat had difficulty getting in that slough because it's very, very shallow. But he spoke, so I will share that interview in a little bit. All right, so chain of events here. They release a media release, and they say, Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, a death investigation that has tugged on the hearts of people across the nation has been ruled a suicide. The decision was based on surveillance footage, interviews, physical evidence, and the examination of the North Carolina Medical Examiner's Office on Saturday, April 27th at approximately 2:54 p.m. Robeson County 911 Communication Center received a 911 call from a female. So that was what you just heard. 2:54 p.m. The caller asked the dispatcher if her phone could be located because she was going to do harm to herself and wanted her family to be able to find her body. During the conversation with the dispatcher, the caller hung up the phone and the dispatcher was unable to contact the caller. That's why it ended. It was only like a 3-minute call. It ended quick. She hung up. So that's why it ended so quickly, because the dispatcher, I think the dispatcher was probably going to tell her, chill out, wait, chill. Didn't get her in time. The dispatcher was able to find the location of the caller and dispatched a deputy to the location. The deputies contacted the Lumber River State Park superintendent upon their arrival at Lumber River State Park in Orem. The deputies and state park rangers conducted a search of the area for the victim. The search was aided by Robeson County Sheriff's Office drone. During the investigation, a black Honda Accord with the South Carolina registration was located in the parking lot. The investigators confirmed that vehicle belonged to Mica Miller, 30, of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Investigators located a Sig Sauer gun case in the passenger seat of the vehicle and a box of ammunition in the center console of the vehicle. Investigators also found a receipt for the handgun from a pawn shop and a receipt from a convenience store in the vehicle. Both receipts were dated for the same day of Miller's death, April 27th. She got the gun the same day. During the search of the park for the 911 caller, investigators were approached by an individual who had found a bag near the water edge with an identification belonging to Miller. That's the individual I interviewed today. I interviewed him, so we got an exclusive interview coming up. The individual stated that he heard someone crying and a gunshot while he was fishing. Yes, he was there because down there is a boat ramp, goes in. Plus people, let me just say something. He didn't do anything to her. I mean, he's a little bit distraught because people online are blaming him, or, you know, these conspiracy kooks and weirdos out there think that he's somehow involved or whatever like that. This guy was a good Samaritan. This guy tried to help her. This guy was just out there fishing and heard the commotion. He's not involved. He's not a paid hitman. He's not sent there. Nothing. This is a local guy that normally fishes there all the time. Spoke to him. He was almost in tears because people are blaming him. People are blaming him. Some, not all, but some. I didn't really know about people blaming him, but he was showing me screenshots of what people were saying. It's always a good Samaritan, and then there's always these fringe people out there that want to, you know, oh, he's involved in all this. So I feel bad for him too. His name is Johnny. The individual stated he heard someone crying and a gunshot while he was fishing. Law enforcement continued to search, and E911 received a call from an individual who stated the body was located in the water. Law enforcement responded to the location, contacted the North Carolina Medical Examiner's office upon locating the deceased. The victim was identified as Mica Miller. The handgun, 9mm, was located in the water at the crime scene during the search of the area. The serial number of the weapon matched the gun box that was found in Miller's Honda. During the investigation, Miller's phone and other personal belongings were located. A search of Miller's phone revealed that she conducted a Google search for national parks near me, and the Lumber River State Park location was provided. So maybe she was just picking a park just by random, by doing a basic Google search. But a lot of people think there's more to this, though. I'm just coming up with a theory here. The investigation also revealed that Miller and her estranged husband, John Paul Miller, had been separated and were involved in the legal system. This information led to the investigators confirming the whereabouts of Miller and a female that he is allegedly romantically involved with. So we got confirmation here, kind of with the police report, that yes, Mr. John Paul is romantically involved with this female. And the female would be most likely Susie Skinner. Investigators were able to confirm that both individuals were not in North Carolina on the night before and the day of Miller's death. So we shared, source told us, that Mr. John Paul was at a soccer match or something like that, soccer tournament or soccer event down in Charleston. And the night before, the Friday night, the 26th, he went to Olive Garden and took all these people out to Olive Garden, and he paid. Investigators learned through interviews that John Paul Miller was at an athletic event in Charleston on the day of Mica Miller's death. We reported that before this police report came out. John Miller's vehicle was observed traveling on Highway 17 bypass in Horry County at 2:22 p.m. on April 27, 2024. The investigation confirmed that John Miller was with someone while traveling to and from the event in Charleston, South Carolina. So 2:22 p.m. he's seen on Highway 17 in Horry County, an hour and a half away. On Tuesday, May 7th, Sheriff Bernice Wilkins, investigators, and the medical examiners met with the parents and immediate family members of Mica Miller. John Paul Miller was given the opportunity to attend a separate meeting, and Miller indicated through his attorney that he would not come to North Carolina to meet with investigators. Now, I saw that before I came on live, and I said, what kind of guy would not? And why does he have an attorney? What kind of guy would not come up to North Carolina to meet with investigators? Why wouldn't John Paul Miller come to North Carolina to meet investigators? Does he have something to hide? Investigators conducted several interviews and developed a timeline of events in relation to Miller's death on April 24, 2024. It's not April 2024. They actually put April 24th. I think that's a typo. It's April 27th. 11 a.m. Miller was observed on a Ring camera arriving at a residence on Margarita Drive in Myrtle Beach. 11:38 a.m. Miller was observed on a Ring camera leaving her residence. 12:12. Miller is observed on a store surveillance walking into Dick's Pawn Shop, located at 1852 Mr. Joe White Avenue in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. 12:13. Miller is observed at the register and initiates the purchase of a weapon. So she actually bought the weapon quick. 12:12. 12:13. 12:34, Miller observed leaving Dick's pawn shop after purchasing a weapon. So it took a while. I guess they go through the process of anyone that gets a gun. Question is, doesn't she have a documented history of mental illness? How was she able to get a gun? How was she able to get a gun from a gun store? I thought people, supposedly John Paul Miller is trying to say that she had a mental illness. I think no, she was actually calling out John Paul Miller's abuse. And John Paul Miller kind of weaponized her saying she had a mental illness, but we're hearing stuff about committed at hospitals in the past or whatnot. But the question is, how was she able to purchase a gun? So that might be another story too. That might be another dynamic. How was somebody that supposedly had a mental illness able to purchase a gun at a store? She was observed leaving at 12:34. 1:06 p.m., folks. Miller's black Honda Accord is observed traveling on Highway 501 near 4 Mile Road, Conway. 1:27. Miller's black Honda is observed arriving at 41 Grocery and Grill, which is located at 41 SC 41 in Mullins, South Carolina. 1:35. Miller is observed leaving the store after purchasing a drink and gas. 2:54. She called 911. The Lumber River State Park is 32.7 miles from 41 Grocery and Grill in Mullins. She's on camera. They release photos of her making the purchase for the gun. I'm assuming this is the gun purchase. But they're showing exhibits of her at the stores. Well, this is the store. So what they did, investigators did, it looks like, is release certain photos and a timeline of events showing her steps that went all the way from when she left her house all the way up to the Lumber River State Park. And stops she made in between. Look, even shows her own Ring camera. This is Ring camera. Or someone's Ring camera. Is it hers? I think it's hers. There she is in the store. And then they show a Google search for, and it says Dick's Pawn Store, 1852 Mr. Joe White in Myrtle Beach. They corroborated that by saying Mr. Miller, Mr. J.P. Miller, John Paul Miller was in Charleston, and then he didn't get back to 2:22, I think, or something like that, 2:22. They thoroughly, tried to establish where both parties were during this day. What I'm suspect about is why would John Paul Miller refuse to come up here and speak to investigators? Because that's where people think that maybe there's a hitman involved. Maybe there was someone that followed her or stalked her. Maybe someone is involved here that was basically, working with John Paul Miller. And, I don't know. I know that I spoke to the family today and they're not happy with the results. What they're going to do at this point, I don't know, or they didn't reveal to me because I think they got lawyers. This is this Dick's pawn shop. At first I thought it was Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick's Sporting Goods. So we heard the 911 call. They label a chain of events. Now, this guy here, also, who I spoke to, also feels, Johnny, that was there, that there's some foul play involved. He does not believe it was a suicide. And this is the guy that heard her cry and the gunshot. I personally, I don't know. I'm just going by what you guys are saying. I heard somebody just say in the chat, stop with the conspiracy stuff. She committed suicide. That's it. Well, it's very possible that happened. And probably likely. But a lot of people don't believe it. And still don't believe it. Look at the chat. We don't really, on this chat, JLR investigates, goes down rabbit holes and does, conspiracy stuff and bodies aren't real and all kinds of, we don't do that on this channel. However, with this case and hearing from her own family and hearing from this eyewitness, he's an eyewitness who found her stuff, by the way. He went in her purse afterward. They're not buying it, folks. And I just saw one comment that I'm going to repeat here. Kim says, JP is still responsible for driving her to that point. And that I am 100% on board with. By seeing the family dynamics, what she was going through in the last 6 months, how JP is, that I can be on board. JP is still responsible for driving her to that point. That, I think, is probably the most logical explanation here. And for anyone to say, hey, JP is not responsible for this, you might have to look at the facts of this case. She's filed multiple police reports. He sent her stuff basically telling her to F off, and she's worthless and saying derogatory things at her. The infidelities, the mental torture, the physical, emotional, mental abuse that this woman went through for years. Yeah, it could drive someone to do something they don't normally want to do. And she thought about her family at the last second by saying, I'm only calling 911 to let my family know where I'm at. It's sad. It's sad. Okay, so what I'm doing on JLR Investigates, again, 2 videos are coming out from the park. I was at the park, no reception out there. Sorry, I couldn't get no reception. We're going to follow this case. We're going to see what happens. I do think SLED and different investigation agencies are going to get involved. Will the county here, where I'm at, Robeson County, will they subpoena him or force John Paul to come up here for anything? They want to speak to him. They offered that olive branch, I guess, and he refused, and he has an attorney. Now, what kind of dude would have an attorney involved in this? Why would somebody get an attorney? Is he just protecting his interest, or is there something more to this? And that kind of leaves it at that this isn't necessarily over. I don't feel this is over yet, folks. And there might be still something to it. Did they communicate with one another and he tell her to do some bad thing to herself? Because if that's the case, he could be in trouble there. You can't tell someone nowadays in this era to do self-harm on themselves. And that could be a very logical reason why he refuses to go up there and cooperate. We'll say he's not even cooperating with investigators. Hot in here. We're bringing the heat on JLR Investigates. But very, very sad today. It is hot out here, and I was there and I saw the emotional, I saw the hugs, I saw the tears, I saw just, it's bad, folks. I mean, I can't imagine what the family's going through. I just can't imagine what the family's going through. I've seen it firsthand. We'll talk. I mean, I literally, I don't know if you guys know this, but I met Mica's mom today before she went in. I didn't have the cameras rolling or nothing. And she came up to me, introduced herself. I held her hand for a minute. I held her hand for a minute and just kept telling her, I'm sorry, you know, and devastated. They're a devastated family. Told them I'm there, bringing the public awareness, and they appreciate that. All right, I'm JLR Investigate. Stay tuned. I'll bring out 2 videos and anything else subsequent. We are on this case. We're going to find out. We're going to follow this through. We say no to domestic violence on this channel. If you see something, say something. If you are, you know, in a bad relationship, whether you're a male or female, if you're in a bad relationship, there's always hope. Get out of it. Get into a safe situation. Don't give up. Stay positive. Get yourself out of that situation. Surround yourself with good people. She had good people around her. She had good people around her. A lot of people care for her. I've seen it firsthand. Hundreds showed up on the beach for her. We'll talk soon. JLR Investigates. Everyone be safe. We'll talk soon.